He thinks about human psychology from the other side. He thinks, how can we inspire? How can we unite? How can we make people feel like our community and our government actually has our back? How can we feel, he talks about this idea of moving from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance, and what happens when you do that to a whole community. If everybody's feeling good and positive and isn't stressed about money and isn't scared about their health, what can happen? How can we all actually start to look up and tackle the really big problems that we are about to face, that we're in the midst of facing really, and that are only gonna kind of get more and more significant over time. So, in my mind, these four things, empathy, economics, technology, human psychology for good, this is really kind of a perfect storm that is all in Andrew Yang. And
awesome already! Now, you all know if you're here today, I am not a career politician. I'm an entrepreneur and problem solver, and I'm here with you to solve the biggest problems of our time, the problems that got Donald Trump elected in 2016. How did he win? How did he win? If you turned on cable news today, why would you think that Donald Trump is our president today?
Ignorance!
It would be something like Russia, racism, Facebook, the FBI, Hillary Clinton, and all of those things were there, but they were not the main reason why Donald Trump won in 2016. The main reason he's our president today is that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, and if those states sound familiar, those are all the swing states that he needed to win and did win. How many of you all work in technology? At least some of you do. Oh yeah, a lot of you do. That's very Yang Gang of you. Well, if you work in technology, you know that what we did to those manufacturing jobs, we're now going to do to the retail jobs, the call center jobs, the fast food jobs, the truck driving jobs, and on through the economy. Now, how many of you have noticed stores closing around where you live here in Oregon?
Yeah.
And why are those stores closing? What word answer?
Amazon!
That's right, Amazon's like a giant vacuum sucking up $20 billion in business every year. And now, how much did Amazon pay in taxes last year? That's right, so Amazon sucks up $20 billion, gives you back zero, 30% of stores and malls close, and what's the most common job in the United States of America? Retail, that's right, the average retail worker is a 39-year-old woman making between $9 and $10 an hour. What is she going to do when her store closes? Cry is what this person just said. It seems about right. We're going to try and keep her from crying, am I right, Portland? Now, you guys already saw the headline that Amazon just recently announced they're going to put $700 million towards retraining their own employees. I think about that for a second. Like, Amazon's like, hey, we're getting rid of our own jobs so fast that we're now going to put up almost $1 billion to retrain 100,000 of our workers for new things. Oh, like really, this is like mind-blowing. This is a headline from this week. And then if you think about what this means, they think they're going to automate away 1/3 of their own employees' jobs. And then they think it's going to cost almost $1 billion to try and retrain them for new things. I did the math, Portland. Do you know how much it would cost to retrain us all according to Amazon's retraining budget? It would cost $1 trillion to try and retrain us all. Do you think that we can retrain an American on $7,000? No, it doesn't make any sense. So they're looking at their own employees and they're actually starting to bite the bullet. They're looking up and saying, oh my gosh, we're going to get rid of our own workers, and people are going to notice. If you look up, when you go back to this retail worker whose while the store is closing, what's her retraining budget going to be? Zero. There's so much baked into this press release. I was like, oh my gosh, it's all coming home to roost. And I have a feeling the Yang Yang had something to do with it. There are 2.5 million call center workers in the United States of America. How many of you saw the recent Google AI demo of software that can do that job? How long do you think it's going to be before we start getting rid of a lot of those 2.5 million call center workers and make $14 an hour?
5 years.
How many years?
5.
You think this says 5? 2, right now. Driving a truck is the most common job in 29 states. How many of you have friends who are working on self-driving cars and trucks? Some of you do. I know you do. And if you know those people like I know those people, those are some of the smartest motherfuckers I know. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't get dumb people working on that. They got some of the smartest people in the country working on it because the estimated cost savings of autonomous vehicles are $168 billion a year in the trucking industry alone. $168 billion a year. I mean, that's an unfathomable amount of money. It's so much money. I did the math. It would actually pay. We're gonna make America think harder, Yang Yang. $168 billion a year is so much. It actually pays for us to lay a new robot truck-friendly highway coast to coast. It would pay for itself in less than a year. Wow. I mean, that's what $168 billion can do. So if you look up and say, okay, you have the irresistible force, which is some of the smartest people in the country, billions of dollars in savings, and then on the other side, the immovable object is the 3.5 million Americans who drive a truck for a living, and the 7 million Americans who work in motels, diners, truck stops, and retail establishments that need the truckers to get out and have a meal. Now this is like the 5 to 10 year where the rubber hits the road. Only 13% of truck drivers are unionized. So there's not some grand negotiation to be had. 87% are just running their small mom and pop businesses. They've got 5 trucks. A lot of them took out massive loans to buy these trucks because these trucks often cost low 6 figures. So they say, hey, I'm gonna be my own boss, I'm gonna take out massive loans. Imagine if you were a trucker who would put your life savings into 5 trucks and then all of a sudden you see robot trucks on the highways that never stop. How would you react?
Pissed off.
Yeah, you'd be pretty pissed off. You might even be willing to do something dramatic. I don't know thousands of truck drivers, but I know dozens of truck drivers, and they are not the types to just be like, all right, I guess that happened. That's not going to be the reaction. And then anyone who talks about retraining truck drivers, I was just at a truck stop the other week. If you went to that truck stop and said, hey guys, who wants to get retrained to be like a coder or something, they'd be more likely to punch you in the face than be like, oh, I've always had a interest in that software engineering. Well, thank you. Like, of course not. So we have to start owning the reality of where we are in 2019, 2020. The jobs I'm talking about are the most common jobs in the United States, but we know that folks that work in technology is also going to hit accounting jobs. It's going to hit pharmacy jobs. I was an unhappy lawyer for 5 whole months, and I guarantee you can automate that job. So anyone who's a lawyer, you know what I'm talking about. Raise your hand if you're a lawyer so you know what I'm talking about. Like, AI can already outcompete human lawyers in a lot of contract editing tasks. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's more reliable. But you know the problems are real if the Asian man who wants to give everyone money can come out of nowhere and get the 6th place in the presidential election, right? About the freedom dividend, you said, this is a gimmick. Is this for real? And what state has had a dividend in effect for almost 40 years? And what state is that? And how do they fund it? And what is the oil of the 21st century? It's technology, you had it right. It's AI, software, self-driving cars and trucks, big data. This is the oil of the 21st century. What they're doing in Alaska with oil money, we need to do for everyone here in Portland and everyone around the country with technology money. When the banks were in need, the money was there, and now it's our turn. It's time for the people of the United States of America to take back our government. Am I right? Your communities, what your neighborhoods, what your families would look like if everyone were receiving $1,000 a month. Where would that money go? How would you spend it? I mean, this is where the money would go in real life, but it would make your families, your community stronger. Most of the money would stay right here in Portland. It would go into local Main Street businesses that would then need to hire. It would create over 2 million new jobs. This is the trickle-up economy. So our people, our families, our communities up, and we can make it real. There is nothing stopping a majority of citizens in a democracy from voting ourselves a dividend. Nothing at all. We are the owners and citizens and shareholders of this country, are we not? We can declare a dividend that's going to make us, our families, our people, and our communities stronger. And I want to talk for a minute about what this would mean for women in particular. My wife is at home with our 2 young boys, one of whom is autistic. What is her work valued at in the economy right now? 0. We know that's nonsense. We know the work that she's doing is more important and challenging than the work of the average hedge fund manager. So we have to start moving our values in that direction and think about what $1,000 a month would mean to her, to caregivers around the country, to the waitress who's getting sexually harassed by her jerk boss, the single mom who's stuck in an abusive relationship. We can help women in particular improve their situations because we know that women are doing the vast majority of the unrecognized and undervalued work in our society. And the Democratic Party can talk a big game about empowering women, or we can do something about it, and I say we do something about it, Portland. We just raised a little less than $3 million in the second quarter of this year, and 99.6% of it was small donors. That's the highest percentage anyone has ever seen. This is a campaign of the people and for the people. Our average donation is only $26, so our fans are even cheaper than Bernie's. So this is very much a grassroots campaign that is coming up. And so we raised 1.7 and 2.83, and then the curve's just going up and up. We're growing when other campaigns are shrinking. And thanks to people like you, we already got through the 130,000 donor threshold to qualify for the debate. We're in 6th place in the polls. We're climbing just as a lot of the other campaigns are fading. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to be there the whole time, through the fall, and then the winter, and then on to Iowa, and New Hampshire, and Nevada, and South Carolina. We can see the vision. A Washington, D.C. journalist said to me something. He said, in Washington, D.C., people are stunned by the Yang Gang. They said that the folks in Washington, D.C. cannot believe that a political outsider newcomer came out of nowhere and is beating people that have been preparing to run for president for years. Sitting governors, Congress people, the whole thing. They're like the people in the Beltway are just completely flabbergasted by the fact that this, look around you, everyone just look around you right now, that this is real. Yeah. At this and say, this makes no sense, but they don't know something that we know. We know that the American people see the problems that are going on in our communities and know that we can do so much better. We know that Washington, D.C. is not going to come to our rescue and that we're going to have to rescue ourselves. We know that the conventional wisdom and 20th century solutions are not going to work for 21st century problems, and we need new solutions to bring to the table. Now, this campaign is engaging people who historically never cared about politics before. How many of you, this is your first time you've ever been to a political event? I'll look around, that's what I'm talking about. And you should know that you are perfectly normal on both sides. You're perfectly normal for the Yang Gang, but also 25% of Americans say they are politically disengaged. Think about that. So if you get that 25% activated and energized, you can run the table and win the whole thing. And that's what this campaign is doing. We can build a much broader coalition to beat Donald Trump in 2020 because it's not left, it's not right, it's forward. And that's what we're going to
I don't know what. This is nice.
Thank you.
So much. Huge support. I don't touch the good ones, man. Hey!
Oh, me too.
The truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really are screwing people. It's my job. It's madness.
Thank you.
You saw my shirt too. He's like, this man's been in the gym. Thank you.
because it's not left, it's not right, it's forward.